The sun was just rising behind the gleaming skyline of the city when the valet opened the doors of the Hilton Grand Plaza. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble floor as she strode out, her diamond-studded sunglasses hiding eyes used to measuring people. She was Veronica Sterling, CEO of a fashion empire, featured on magazine covers, and accustomed to being served. Outside, her chauffeur had already brought the Rolls-Royce to the entrance. Luggage was being loaded into the trunk, Hermes bags, Louis Vuitton suitcases, and one peculiar thing, a small gilded cage. Inside it sat two snowy owls, her prized exotic pets, rare and expensive. Just as Veronica was placing a silk-wrapped scarf into the back seat, a gust of wind blew the cage slightly. The door latch had not been secured properly. One of the owls fluttered and tumbled to the concrete driveway, dazed. It flapped its wings weakly, disoriented by the fall. And that's when he saw it, standing across the street in dusty clothes, his eyes tired but alert. The young man crossed quickly. He had the look of someone who hadn't eaten well in days, but his hands were steady and respectful as he approached the trembling bird. Gently, he lifted the owl, held it close like a fragile treasure, and walked silently toward the car. Veronica turned, ready to scold whoever had dared to come near her pet. But when she saw him, his sunburnt skin, torn shirt, and dirt-smeared jeans, she froze. He was clearly a beggar. He handed her the owl without saying a word. She narrowed her eyes. You could have run away with it. This owl is worth thousands. What made you bring it back? The young man looked up, unflinching. I'm a beggar, yes, he said quietly, but I don't eat haram. I don't touch what's forbidden. What's not mine should never feed me. Veronica stared at him, caught off guard. Something in her chest shifted, a weight, maybe. She didn't even notice when the valet stopped loading the bags, watching the moment unfold. What's your name? She asked. Derek, he replied. She nodded slowly. Thank you, Derek. And that should have been the end of it. But something about his words lingered in her mind like a melody you can't stop humming. Later that day, after checking into her suite and dismissing the staff, Veronica found herself staring out the window, watching the street below. Something was missing. Something she'd buried for years. The next day, she did something unusual. She returned to the same hotel entrance and waited. She didn't know what she was expecting. Maybe she wouldn't see him again. But as fate would have it, Derek was there, sitting on the same bench, eating a piece of bread a security guard had given him. Come with me, she said. He looked up, puzzled. I'm not offering charity, she said, reading his eyes. I'm offering work. She brought Derek to one of the hotels she partially owned, a struggling five-star establishment where staff were always complaining, and departments fought over every small issue. The hotel had just fired a young man on the night shift for stealing. Veronica told the manager to hire Derek for the night watch instead. That's when the real challenge began. Derek was honest to a fault. He refused to cut corners. He reported thefts, refused to take bribes, and didn't tolerate the corruption that had become the norm among the night staff. Soon, the previous shift, the old crew, began hating him. They mocked him for his poverty, sabotaged his duties, even tried to get him fired. One night, they deliberately unplugged a freezer full of expensive seafood, letting it spoil. They tried to pin the blame on Derek. Veronica got a report early that morning. When she arrived, she didn't ask for explanations. She pulled the surveillance footage. The truth was clear. Derek had tried to fix it. He even wrote a note to the kitchen about the temperature problem. That evening, she called him to her office. I was wrong, she said. I thought I was giving you a job, but you've given me a mirror. A way to see what I've lost. Derek was quiet, but his eyes were honest. People think beggars are the ones with empty pockets. But some people are rich and starving inside. Veronica smiled bitterly. You sound like my father. He used to say things like that before he died. Before I got so busy trying not to be poor that I forgot how to be human. She promoted Derek. Gave him authority. The old staff left, one by one. Months passed. The hotel flourished. Guests wrote glowing reviews about the night manager who offered tea to the lonely and books to the bored. But the story didn't end there. One evening, Veronica invited Derek to a charity gala she was hosting. He hesitated. I don't belong in your world, he said. You belong wherever honor is needed, she replied. He came, wearing a clean suit borrowed from a retired bellboy. At the gala, one of Veronica's longtime business partners, Mr. Henley, recognized Derek. You're Joseph's boy, aren't you? Derek Hale? From Crestville? Derek's eyes widened. Yes. How do you know? Henley laughed, astonished. Your father was a brilliant engineer. He saved my company once. I thought your family left the country after the accident. Veronica looked between them. Accident. Derek nodded slowly. My father died in a fire. We lost everything. My mother died soon after. I wondered for years. Henley looked deeply moved. Come see me this week. I think there's something I owe you, and something you can build. A year later, Derek Hale wasn't just managing a hotel. He was leading a new engineering division for Henley's company. He lived in a small apartment but gave regularly to shelters. He visited the same corner near the Hilton every month and gave food to people still forgotten. Veronica continued her empire, but with a different heart. She opened shelters in her father's name. And in her private aviary, the two owls still lived, one of them forever a symbol of the day her path crossed with the beggar who wouldn't eat forbidden food. Because sometimes, destiny falls at your feet. And sometimes, honor picks it up and hands it back to you. Moral: wealth is not in the pocket but in the heart. True character is revealed not in comfort but in challenge. And the smallest acts of integrity can unlock the greatest doors of fate.